Okay, hi guys. So I am going to record this very short class for you because I need to more or less explain how to work with these gerunds and infinitives. I asked yesterday group E if they remembered, majority said yes. I asked group F if they remembered. Uh, very few answered, only one said yes, and the other person said that they were absent that day. So taking a very quick look at gerunds and infinitives, I hope you remember. Here we go. All right. So the first thing that we have to learn about gerunds and infinitives, or remember about gerunds and infinitives, is that in English you need these two ways in order to produce the ar, ir meaning in Spanish. Okay. So for example, caminar, nadar, correr, all of those infinitive verbs or gerund verbs need to be structured in two different ways in English, either with a gerund or with an infinitive. Okay. In the case of the infinitives, the infinitive is the use of two things, these two particular things that we have right here. Um, they are a particle to plus a verb in the base form. Okay. So for example, to eat, to dance, to play, to swim, to act, all those are called infinitives. Okay. And they will eventually at the end produce ir sound in Spanish. So for example, if I say, I want to dance, quiero bailar. Okay. Or if I say, I need to eat, necesito comer, they're all going to give us that final result in Spanish. Okay. And so this two right here is not a preposition. This two right here is called a particle because it means that it is a part of something. It's a part of this, and a verb in the base form, which you already know verbs in the base form. Another thing to watch out for is that the tense never changes. Okay. This means that the infinitive is not represented in the future or in the past. This only happens with a verb. So when we talk about infinitives, infinitives do not change tense. Okay. There are four main rules for using infinitives. These are the four rules. The first rule says after certain verbs. Okay, I'm gonna show you the list. I'm gonna send you this list again. Actually, I recommend that you have this list printed for the time of the test. Okay, uh, use it after certain verbs. For example, they want to go home. We have here the verb want. I can actually show you this thing right now, I think. Give me just a second. Okay, this is the list that I am going to be sending you. On this list, you can actually see here we have infinitives after certain verbs. And right here we have the verb want. Okay, so it's going to be want plus an infinitive, or demand plus an infinitive, or forget plus an infinitive. For example, I forgot to do my homework, or she decided to stay home, or I can't afford to buy that car. Okay, all of these verbs, any of these verbs can go with infinitive. And of course, because these are the verbs, they can be in any tense. For example, I can say, I forgot to do my homework, or I had forgotten to do my homework, or I forgot to do my homework, or I always forget to do my homework. Okay, they could be in any tense that you want, because this is the verb. All right. And then the second rule says after an object. Remember that it's talking about an object pronoun. So remember that in English we have subject pronouns, I, you, he, she, we, it, they. And then we have object pronouns, me, you, him, her, it, them, us. Okay, so in this case, I have I, subject, told, verb, her is the object, and then immediately after the her comes the infinitive. So I told her to call me, I asked him to help me, um, mm, I don't know. I demanded them to finish their homework. So whenever we have an object, we're going to have an infinitive. So this is rule number two. Object, don't forget. And remember, right now I'm mentioning object pronouns, but they could be, personal name pronouns. Like, for example, I told Griselda to call me. Okay. It could be any type of object, either object pronoun or personal object or whatever. The third rule is after an adjective. Okay, we have worked with adjectives since you were in first grade, because when you look at verbs with the verb to be, you know that we use adjectives with the verb to be. So we have happy, sad, excited, motivated, confused, all of the different adjectives that you know. And so whenever we have an adjective, immediately, again, we're going to have an infinitive. Okay, so I'm happy to see you, or I'm sad to leave, or I'm excited to be here, or I'm motivated to work harder. Any adjective along with an infinitive. Okay. And then the last rule for the infinitives is to show purpose. For example, in this case, as I went to the mall, why did you go to the mall? To buy some shoes. Or I can say, I visited my grandmother. What for? I visited my grandmother to make her company. Or I went to the dentist. Why did you go to the dentist? To get a checkup. Okay. It's all for purpose. Okay. So you can see you can see here the four different rules immediately after immediately before the infinitive. So in this case, verb, in this case, object, in this case, adjective, and in this case, a purpose. Okay. So you will have the verb, immediately the infinitive, the object, immediately the infinitive, adjective, immediately the infinitive, and then purpose, immediately the infinitive. Okay, so this is the example. And as you go on in the presentation, you will see a couple of more examples. All right, I'll show you in just a minute. Okay, and then the next one is the gerunds. Okay, and so right here, okay, the infinitive has four different rules, and the infinitive is formed by a particle and a verb in the base form. Now, here, a gerund is the use of a verb plus an ing. Once the verb has an ing, it can no longer be called a verb. It stops being a verb. It becomes a gerund. Okay, and in this case, gerund is not the typical termination ando, endo in Spanish. Okay, to have ando, endo in Spanish, you need a verb to be plus a gerund. For example, she is happy. She is waiting for the bus. Ella está esperando el camión. Okay, the verb to be plus gerund gives us the ando, endo. Or they are reading a book. They are reading. Están leyendo. Ando, endo again. But the gerund alone doesn't give us ando, endo. Okay, it gives us ir in Spanish. And it's mostly used like a noun and not a verb. So for example, the gerund has three rules. Okay, the first rule says it can be used as a subject. Usually we use subjects as the subjects I, you, he, she, we, it, they. Okay, but now we have to go on and advance in our English, and what we're doing now is we're using the gerund as a subject. So for example, here we have swimming is fun. Okay, which means nadar es divertido. See, we have the ir termination. Nadar es divertido. We can say, for example, I don't know, eating with friends is nice. Comer con amigos, we have ir. Or you can go, painting is unstressing. Pintar es desestresante. Okay, so you can have the ir ending. Okay, as a gerund as a subject, and it's going to be accompanied by the verb to be. Rule number 2, after certain verbs, okay, again, I'm going to go back to my list, okay, and here you can see a list of gerunds. These verbs are exclusive for gerunds. So for example, I can say, I finished doing my homework, and you can say it again in present, past, perfect. I finish, present, doing my homework. I finished, past, doing my homework. I have finished, present perfect, doing my homework. Okay, so the verb can be in any tense, and then you're going to use a gerund. Another example, I practice driving in the mall park, okay, in the mall parking lot. Or I miss going to school. Or I stopped smoking 2 years ago. Or she suggested staying home. So any of these verbs plus a gerund. And it's also very important that you notice that the can'ts, okay, in the negative form, can't will always be accompanied by gerund. So for example, she can't help loving him. Okay, there you have an example. And for example, help is a verb for infinitive. I helped to contribute to the noble cause. Okay, but that's another story. And this third column right here means that you can use any of these verbs with gerund or infinitive. So for example, I can say, I hate going to the park. I hate to go to the park. Hate going, hate to go. Or she continued studying English, or she continued to study English. I can use this one with either one. All right, so that's the list of verbs. And the third one for gerund says after a preposition. Okay, so we have tons of prepositions: in, on, at, to, for, from, with, without, oof, and a whole other bunch. So whenever we have a preposition, we're going to use ing. For example, I am excited about traveling, and it still gives us ir. Estoy emocionado de viajar. Okay, this is the preposition right here. So you have these three rules. And like I said, if you go on throughout the presentation, you can see many examples. See, gerund as a subject is going to give you examples of gerund as a subject. And then it's going to ask you to work on some examples of your own. Okay, see, use gerund as a subject, easy. Eating ice cream is nice. Listening to your teacher is important. Being late makes your teacher mad. Okay, and so you have this. So I invite you to go through the rest of the presentation. Okay, hopefully we'll have class tomorrow, and then we can, eliminate all of the possible doubts. Now, yesterday I assigned you some work, okay, which you can check, but I have to assign you another one, okay? Let me open up the work that I want to show you. Okay, hold on. Complete. Here we go. Okay. So on the TOEFL book, okay, this is what we're working with. I want you to see what we're working with. We're working with right here. It says items involving verb problems and incomplete or missing infinitive and gerunds. This is what you did yesterday, okay? And this is what you're going to work on today. Items involving verb problems. This goes from page 152, okay? So you're supposed to work on page 152 to page 158. Page 152, lesson 25, has to do with all the grammar you have seen throughout your time. All of the different grammar you have seen throughout your time. Call it simple present, call it simple past, call it present progressive, past progressive, present perfect, all of the different tenses, okay? And you knowing when to use each tense, okay? So I'm going to stop the class right here, okay? Remember, you have, the ideal is that you work on page 152 to 158. If you do not have internet or electricity to upload it, don't worry, we're being flexible, such and such. But do try to do those exercises, okay? So that tomorrow, if we have a class, you can bring your questions and we can solve them. All right? So I'll be leaving you. Hope you have a nice day. Hope everything works out fine. And I hope to God to see you tomorrow. Okay? Have an excellent day. Bye-bye.